For only the second time in 8 weeks of NFL play this season, the favorites actually had the advantage against the spread on Sunday, going 8-4 versus the odds makers. That's the good news. Of course, the bad news is there's still 18 games under 500 for the season. And when the dogs are barking like that, guys, as I always tell you, only two things are happening. The sports books up and down the strip are making a big amount of money, and generally the gambling public is losing its shirts because, truth be told, basic human nature, everybody gravitates toward the favorites, including yours truly, including most handicappers in this business. It's just basic human nature. And still, 18 games under 500 the favorites are so far this season. Not too impressive. Now, of course, if you had your magical crystal ball and you could simply pick the straight-up winners, you've made an absolute fortune because the straight-up winners yesterday won 11-1 versus the odds makers. 11-1, the lone loser being Kansas City, failing to cover the 7.5-point number and a 3-point overtime win against Buffalo. Straight-up winners against the spread this season now 95-17-3. 95-17-3. That after cashing in at a 95% clip in the preseason. Last year preseason, right through the Super Bowl clash between the Colts and the Saints, they covered at an 82% clip. So they're actually ahead of the game this year. By the way, home favorites, of which you've got one tonight in Indianapolis, laying 5.5 points at home versus Texas in the Monday night game. 6-4 yesterday versus the spread. 12 games under the number so far this season. Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here, and this is going to be your Monday video report. Well, the favorites may have had a winning day yesterday, but as you know, I did not, because the one favorite that did not cover at home, as far as I was concerned, the New York Jets. Can you spell the word fraud? Fraud. Rex Ryan, a lot like his father when he was head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I was covering the Eagles back in those days. The Eagles never delivered seemingly in big games. For Jets, same situation. You're coming off a bye, you're at home, you're laying only 6, and you not only lose the game, but you get shut out. I'm saying fraud, okay? I said one other team was a fraud this year early in the season, the Cincinnati Bengals. Fraud. The Jets the same way. You've won 5 in a row straight up and against the spread, and you can't even show up offensively? You have all these wide receivers, and you can't even catch a pass? I mean, what gives here? Okay, it was a windy condition yesterday at the new Giants Stadium there, but still, you know, the Packers had to play in the same conditions as well. A Packers team that lost in overtime to Washington, lost by 3 to Miami, barely held on to beat Minnesota thanks to Brett Favre constantly turning the ball over. They come into your home palace and they beat you 9-0. Fraud. Now, as for me, as you know, I'm in a little bit of a slump here, guys. I mean, look, I'm not going to hide it. You know, NFL the past 2 weeks, I have absolutely hit the skids going 1-5 straight up. And you saw the free picks. And, you know, I always say the free picks are like the best of the worst. They're the selections I also considered wagering upon, but didn't. You know, they lost 2 out of 3 yesterday. So right now, I am definitely in a slump. No ifs, ands, or buts. My opinion tonight on this game is absolutely worthless as far as most of you are concerned. I'm not going to hide it. In fact, I'm telling you right now, just like yesterday, let me play traffic cop for you. You know, yesterday, I told you about 3 red-hot handicappers. Steven Nover, who cashed in with his 5th ever 100-dime play in 17 years in the business, scoring with the San Diego Chargers. I told you also about the new guy on the block, Andy Finelli, coming off a 60-dime winner on Oregon on Saturday. He had his first ever 75-dime play. He delivered the Oakland Raiders in a rout of Seattle. Also told you about Chuck O'Brien yesterday, who won again with the Miami Dolphins. And Chuck, 19-3. 19-3 with his NFL side selections, the hottest handicapper at this site. No ifs, ands, or buts. Probably one of the hottest guys, period, in this business. You got to check him out, guys. 19-3 with his NFL side selections this year. And tonight he has his 30-dime winner, number 2 in a row. On Monday nights, the side selection for Houston and Texas. Of course, Houston Texans against Indianapolis Colts. Last Monday cashed in with a 30-dime play with the Giants in a road rout of Dallas. Also, another guy who you probably haven't noticed too often, but you should, Derek Mancini. 13-1 the past 12 days. That's his short-term run, okay? Last night, cashing in with his lone play, a 25-dimer on the Saints over the Steelers. But since July, his customers in all sports combined are over 555 dimes to the plus side. Tonight, he has his first ever 100-dime NFL release. He's only had 2 other 100-dime plays ever They were both in the baseball season. He won them both. You can see the details of those on his website tonight. His first ever 100-time NFL play. That's available tonight from Derek Mancini. Now let's break down this game here for you. As you know, going into the season opener between these two in Houston, the Colts had won 15 of the previous 16 encounters. What happened? Houston dominated in the first meeting. The final score, 34-24, the Texans winning outright as a 2.5-point home dog, really wasn't indicative of how strongly Houston played in that game. The key for them, Arian Foster in that game, a career-high 231 yards rushing on 33 carries with 3 touchdowns, the bulk of that yardage coming in the second half of that game. Now, both teams are coming off a bye. Since that loss, the Colts have rebounded by winning 4 out of 5 straight up, but both their losses this year have come in division and AFC South play, so this is a key divisional game for them. Only their third home game of the season. Their first 2 they did win, hammered Peyton's younger brother Eli and the Giants 38-14 laying 4, got by Kansas City 19-9 laying 7.5. Ironically, Texans also, as I noted, coming off a bye, and they played those same 2 foes prior to their bye, barely getting by Kansas City 35-31 laying 4.5, a game they had to rally from deficit, and they lost, got hammered by the Giants at home 34-10. Their other common foe, they both played the Redskins in Washington, where the Texans had to come back from 17 down to force overtime to win by 3. The Colts pretty much toyed with the Redskins and won by 3. A pretty easy 3-point win, all things considered. Problems for these teams defensively. Indianapolis, 26th in the league against the run, giving up 137 yards a game, nearly 5 yards a carry. Houston, just pathetic defensively all the way around. Last in the league in terms of yards allowed, 410 yards a game. And in game 1, the first meeting, Colts racked up 463 yards of total offense. Houston, 8 straight losses at Indianapolis. 8 straight losses. But Texans do have some good news here. They get their starting left tackle, Dwayne Brown, back from a 4-game league-imposed suspension tonight, and that's important because he goes against Dwight Freeney, and Freeney's made a career feasting on Houston quarterbacks over the year. As for the Colts, banged up in the receiver spots. All-pro tight end, Dallas Clark, out for the season. Anthony Colley out as well. In the running back spot, Joseph Adai, doubtful, probably going to be out a number of weeks with a shoulder injury. His backup, Donald Brown, questionable on the reports issued by the league. However, he did take part in full practice on Saturday. He'll probably play tonight along with Mike Hart. Reggie Wayne listed as questionable with a hamstring pull. Do you think Reggie Wayne's going to miss this game? I don't think so. Listen, the Texans have covered 10 of their last 14 on the road. They've covered 7 of their last 8 as a road dog. They're also 7-1 ATS, their last 8 as a division dog as well. But this is just their 3rd ever Monday night appearance and their 1st ever Monday nighter on the road, so it's certainly a new environment for them. As for the Colts coming off the bye, as I pointed out earlier, they are 12-4 straight up on Monday nights at home, covering 10 out of those 16 games, and they have won 8 straight at home in this series. Now, the total. I want to give you a free play on the total here, guys. 10 of the last 11 meetings in this series have gone over. The total tonight is priced at 51. The Texans, who I told you give up more yards than anybody else in the NFL, are 2-0 over on the road this year. And Monday night totals, going back 2.5 seasons, are 25-15-1 over the last 41 Monday night games. I think you've got to take the over here tonight. You know the Colts are going to be throwing the ball. That's always their MO. And that means when you're throwing the ball, you've got plenty of time on the clock. You know Texans, even though they had success in game 1, rushing the ball, you know Matt Schaub can light it up through the air as well. So I think you take this one over the total. Both teams with their defensive problems. This one goes over the total of 51. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Tuesday.